Hello, Judith.
Hello. Hi, Happiness. How are you?
I am good. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you. Yourself?
I am doing well, great as well. Thank you so much for making the time to join us and actually being on time as well. I would like to introduce you maybe to the guest that we have today. We have a few students joining in from all over. As you
Okay.
already know, the bridge we serve students from various backgrounds that are looking for jobs, but mainly focused on globally educated students
Mm-hmm.
and everyone who is on the call. So we are hosting Judith Muhongerwa, who is the
Oh, well
head,
done.
country head of human capital at Banque Populaire du Rwanda, so BPR. And she's going to really be sharing with us tips on how to enter the job market in Rwanda and the challenges being faced by the job market currently amid the coronavirus pandemic. So we hope that you will enjoy the session. For questions, please, while we're going through our interview, type in the comment section and we will read your questions later on. Before we start into diving into the questions, Judith, we know that you have 10 years of experience in human resource. You had a chance to study abroad and returned. Could you please take us through a little bit of your journey, how you found out that you're passionate about human resource, and how you ended up really making that decision to come back and work in Rwanda?
Thank you, Happiness. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to the vast diaspora colleagues that are out there. And good evening, everyone who is live on Instagram today. I've been privileged to take this opportunity. I'm really excited. Being a different generation, shall I call it? Yeah, but Happiness, my 10 years of experience actually are in Rwanda. Been home for about 10 years. But prior to coming to Rwanda, I'd spent another 10 years really in the UK. And to be precise, I schooled there. I worked there. I got the opportunity to work there for nearly about 7 years while I was there. So the journey was quite interesting. But how did I get interested or to know that I'm interested in human resources? Now, my journey is amazing that I actually spent 2 years in Butare before going to the UK, at the National University of Rwanda for 2 years, which at that time we were doing 4 years. So the first 2 years were the baccalaureate. Yes, the baccalaureate. Then you could opt to stop at 2 years and continue and go for work, or continue for the 4 years. Now, I got the opportunity after 2 years that's when I left for the UK. But I'm sure all of you were very young, so you do not know. Those are the first Alliance Air that was in Rwanda at that time. So they started hiring the crew from Rwanda. I was lucky that one of the HR people actually who was hiring was from South Africa and another from Uganda. So I was called to support on the admin, really, the logistics, make sure that people know where they're going, the nitty-gritties of the first, the admin person that is going to hire before you meet the interviewers. So
Yes.
I was very excited. I was very interested. I met brilliant people. That was the first step into my HR. Then, of course, at the University of Butare, we had to look for internship. I was also very privileged to have a 2 months internship with Oxfam GB. I think it was about 2 months because you had to write something with regards to your internship. So I was really a lucky girl, but from network. So when I went to the UK, I must say that I didn't start with human resources. My first time I went for criminology at the university. And after that, because I was very passionate, coming back home to make sure that I joined the law, the law faculty. And within that span, things turned around, and then I moved into business studies. So we're completing year one of university. So I had to backtrack from Rotary. I had to backtrack because it was totally new system, and that is one of the ideas. I mean, the advice that sometimes things don't work out the way you want it to work. So I had to kind of go rebound into university and take the course that I wanted. So the beauty about, of course, the West is you're given an opportunity to find yourself. So my first year was really to find myself. Is this something that I really want to do? So I did business studies into my second year and into third year. Before going into your second year, you had to take your final decision. So after that, I'm like, you know what? I am so interested in dealing with people, counseling, or actually coaching people. I would find myself coaching some of my colleagues informally, and that's when I moved into human resources. Of course, it was a 4-year because with the UK, if you really want to have a good grounding with human resources, you've got to be an affiliate or a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development. So our course was a 4-year course with a 1-year internship. So which is fully 1 year into the work environment, again, to find yourself, again, to know if there's something that I really want to do, or when I go back after my second year, I'll just switch completely. And I'm lucky that I did not switch. So that is really on the side of my emphasis on when I did my human resources. So I felt that, yes, this is what I want to do, and I stuck into it. Yeah. So really, for my undergrad and my master's as well, I majored in human resources. So I did not change after my first term of uni.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your journey. It sounds like a journey that a lot of our students, including ourselves, that go through, of trying and trying until you find your niche. So you aren't afraid to try different courses until you found what you're really interested in. So let's dive into the topic right now. So everyone is wondering the pandemic and wondering how is HR dealing with the pandemic, being the country head of human capital of one of the largest banks in Rwanda. How are you handling the recruitment, managing employees? What are some of the challenges and opportunities are you seeing during I know there's so many challenges, but also what are some opportunities that are you seeing in this pandemic, whether through BPR or in general? Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Happiness. Really, currently, the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, has really set us so back. With all the plans that we had, the strategic plans that we had for the bank in general with regards to our human capital. Of course, every year what happens, or previously actually before the year ends, we normally have a strategic plan. And one of our strategic plan is really in terms of human capital reinforcement, in terms of dealing with our stakeholders, one of them being Bridge to Rwanda actually. In terms of hiring or dealing with people, we have had to completely switch the way we do things, the way we work. Being in Rwanda and having worked, of course, abroad, one of the key things that I realized that our market here is a market that is used to, you have to be in office to deliver. You have to be in office to be counted that you are available, which is totally different from the West. From the West, you could work from home. There are various policies that really allow you to work from home, flexible working, different hours. I could work 3 hours, 3 hours for 4 days, and then the other day I worked from home, which was totally different from Rwanda, and which was totally different in our culture, actually, I must say. But with the pandemic, guess what? We had to completely switch the way we deal with employees. We had to make sure that we provide amenities or tools for employees to work from home. So I'm happy to tell the diaspora people that, guess what? By the time people return, you might land a job that requires that you work from home. We're fine with you to work from home as long as you're productive. So that is one of the positives that has come out of us dealing with the pandemic. But the extraordinary challenges had to implore us to deal with extraordinary measures, you know. So we had to make sure that actually 3/4 of our employees were working from home. Because we were one of the services to continue providing service, but at a minimalistic, because you had to make sure that that you don't increase the chances of people getting the infected. So we really had to make sure that most people working from home. We provided all the tools, which was very new to people. Actually, some of our colleagues were it was very difficult for them to realize that even when they're working from home, they've got to totally switch their mindset and know that I wake up at the right time as usual and start my day. But of course, we kept supporting our employees because it's also very difficult when people are changing the culture, the way they deal with matters. We had to be on the phone all the time to make sure that we engage our employees. And even now, even if Rwanda has really lifted the lockdown to a certain percentage, we still have a few of our colleagues still working from home, and we're happy with how they have evolved around. So, in a nutshell, is maybe something that is going to be very new is to hold telephone interviews now. That is going to be very, very new for most of the employers in the market. I'll give you an example. So far, we have had to hold 2 senior management interviews, telephone interviews, which is totally new. So we're changing to video calls, we're changing to Teams, we're changing to Zoom, we're changing to Instagram. So these are some of the things that are really new to the institution, and actually all the employers are starting to believe that it doesn't have to be in the office, it doesn't have to be face to face. What matters is what does someone bring to the table. So that is that has happened now.
All right. Oh, thanks for sharing with us what BPR is up to. It looks like that everyone has adopted to the digital world, interviewing online, meetings over the phone, and trusting the team that they can deliver while at home. So like we probably have mentioned before and informed you that majority of our students in our database or people that we serve are people freshly graduating, coming out of school, and the recruitment process is going to change, like you mentioned. So what are some of the tips you would share with them right now as they're preparing to enter the job market? Tips that they should prepare for in regards to pass their interviews, or mistakes they should avoid, the do's and don'ts right now in the recruitment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Happiness. I'm sure that most people, of course, when you get to that level of having to start to look for jobs, you're always on the internet. The do's and don'ts are similar, but when you get to the reality, I think the tables turn, really. One of the key things, really, I would advise our dear community out there, as you're planning to get back home, or as you're planning to start searching for those jobs that perhaps your dream jobs that you've been thinking about, it's very, very important to have take the example that taking my own self as an example. is even if I was living in the UK for about 10 years, I was coming to 10 years, I made sure that I kept in touch, kept in contact with my OGs, my former friends who maybe I left in Rwanda. I really kept in touch so that people don't lose track with what is happening with you. And I think this is where we get it wrong. When we go abroad for studies, we're like, whew, thank God I'm somewhere else. I've left people back home. But it's very, very important to keep in contact with your network, because they say that your network is your net worth. So how big your network is that is your net worth at the moment until you make the money right. So that is one of the key things. It's really keep your network right and the right people, really. Sometimes we might have a big network, but that are not able to lead you to the right doors. I was lucky that one of my friends actually, I was having lunch introduced with in Rwanda when I was here for holidays, introduced me to a friend who introduced me to somebody else who was looking for an HR for over a year. So that, what does that mean? It's really the network that I kept. Those friends that you left back home have actually perhaps more experience, even if they have schooled from here, perhaps they're already in jobs and they know their way around. So I think that is very critical. They're lucky that they have Bridge to Rwanda to make that connection, or that bridge indeed, to link them to employers that are currently hiring or even looking for interns or apprentices. So I think that is very critical. As the first thing is the network that people keep. And number two is, I think, really to know what exactly are you looking for. Like I said, I was very passionate in building my career as a human resource professional. Even when I got the opportunity in London to work, the first time I was interviewed, I mean, you will find that there's a lot of politics internally in those institutions that you are applying. So you will go with a particular view of a certain job that you want, but maybe internally there's some politics going on. Maybe they have moved people from one area to another area. So if you're within your professional area, I always advise people, be flexible. Not to get out of your professional area, but also to be flexible to maybe try another job within that professional area that you're looking for. What am I talking about? Giving my own example again, the first time I completed my internships, and now I was ready to get into a job, a full-time job, 9 to 5 as a full-time employee. So I get into this interview, and the job that I had applied for in the department internally had been given to somebody else, but they still had a gap. What does that mean? Is they asked me that, okay, if we do not give you this job, but within the company, are you happy to take the role? I was like, as long as it's within the human resources environment, I'm happy to take it. Because I knew how good I would be, how I would work so hard. So I think that is very, very critical, that you don't tie yourself to, oh, I have studied this, and maybe if it's within IT, I'm not flexible to be that maybe network engineer. If I have a notion about it, if I have done maybe my law, I'm not flexible to be that junior company secretary, because this is your stepping stone into the world of working. Because what we study at school, at unis, actually tends to be a lot different from the practical world when we get into work. So I think those are some of the things. And then number 3, something that people should really, really know is to have a good grasp of your employment history. If you have had the opportunity, you could have had an opportunity to do some few stints here and there, some jobs here and there. How about you package them in a way that those stints that you have had add value to the role that you're trying to apply for? Because normally we find a very big discrepancy in what someone is trying to apply, and they're so adamant they want this role, but they cannot link even the little that they have learned, either theoretically or practically, into what they're trying to apply for. So to try and make sure that that really this links, what they have done links into what they're looking for. Number 4, what is very, very critical, while you're also trying to apply, make sure that you understand the history of these companies. If I was coming from an NGO, for example, and I'll give you my exact example again. I was coming from an NGO as my last employer, although I had worked for a banking institution previously for 1 year. But this was now going to be totally different. New market, a bigger role than what I was holding. But you have to make sure that you know what is happening in the environment of that sector. If it is the financial sector, understand what is happening in that financial sector. If it is the tech sector, IT sector, just understand what is happening in the country actually. How are they linking into the tech industry? What value are you going to bring to the table? I think where I find it very, what I find with most of our colleagues that come from the diaspora is we tend to only think of what I have done in the diaspora, but then yet the market is totally different. Even if I was returning home, I was actually, other than the technical know-how and the exposure that I had, it's very, very important to know that the people that you're finding in the institution actually have experience, the historic experience of the environment. So it's very important that you also link into the possibility of learning from these people that you're finding. So it's very important to know what is happening. Last but not least, I think it's also very important to know what exactly you're looking for. You know, as much as I said, be flexible to not to tie yourself into an area, but also don't. Some of the mistakes that people do is they clearly show you that they're just here for a short term. They want to join your company just for a short term as a stepping stone. Within 6 months, you're out of the company. So it's amazing that employers who are experienced will read that through the interviews. How much do you know that you're trying to bring into the company, even if it's minimalistic, but that attitude and knowing exactly how happy you would be if you took on this role. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Your network is your net worth. Make sure you tailor your resume to the job description, and make sure you stay connected and learn the history of the companies. Stay connected with the people that are here. Respect the people that already know the markets that you're coming to work into. And I think if I'm summarizing you correctly, the last one that you just mentioned, which was to continue to staying connected with respecting the people that you find there, and also being of value, being not someone who's just going to be there for a short period of time, but wanting to be of value to the companies as some of the tips. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think we're having it. Okay, great, you're back. So I have two last questions, and then I will hand over to the audience to ask you questions. So as the pandemic as well has shaken the skills that the job market is looking for, in your experience as a HR, maybe in the banking sector, what available opportunities are you seeing out there in general or in the banking sector, and what kind of skills do you think employers are going to be looking for moving forward?
Sorry, Happiness, I think I lost the last line. What kind of skills
do you think employers will be looking for? Yes, I said, what kind of skills or type of skills moving forward do you think majority of employers will be looking for?
Okay, great. Of course, with the pandemic, I must say that a lot has changed our working environment. The plans that we had might change or have changed slightly, especially in terms of employment, because everybody is trying to save every little penny that they have that they had planned for, because really we're already in May. We're coming to June actually next week. So that, what does that mean? The strategy that we had, if we had a strategy to hire maybe 20 people, that means we might hire just 5 people, and that is really the critical skill set that maybe will help to drive performance, or maybe some changes in the sectors. And I think this is actually cutting across most of the institutions. But nonetheless, it doesn't mean that there'll not be hiring across the country or various institutions, because people have various strategies and various needs. One thing that I'm sure of might happen is there's going to be a lot of call for graduate management programs. That one, at least I'm 80% sure that this will happen. I don't want to say 100% in case it doesn't happen, but more like at least up to 80%. There's going to be graduate management programs being run. So what does that mean for people in the diaspora? Those that are completing university, those that are maybe mostly those that are completing and have not yet gotten an opportunity for full-time jobs. I would advise that these are areas that people should be able to step into. It doesn't matter. I might not get the amount of remuneration that I expect because I've done my master's or I've done my undergrad, but what matters is that 1 year, if you're given an opportunity for 1 year graduate management training, I think that is valuable. That is really, really better than thousands of dollars or pounds, because you're pushing yourself into the market, and you're getting to be known. So that is, in terms of the employer, what might be happening in the labor market. But maybe some areas of highly skilled, qualified, or people with a lot of experience at senior level, there might be some opportunities going on. But in mid-level, I think people are going to stretch internal resources so that they enhance the internal resources and stretch them more, because it's only 6 months to the end of the year. But the graduate programs, the internships, those might be available, and they will be available. Now, what are the skills that employers will be looking for? I think it's kind of a soft skill, shall I say. It is that attitude you bring to the table. The attitude that you bring to the table, I think, is very, very critical. I always tell people that the technical know-how can be taught, but an attitude will not be taught, and that is a soft skill. So it has to be in you. It has to come from inside you to be able to deliver that. What does that mean? Your attitude to work hard, your attitude to be flexible, your attitude, and because flexibility right now in this pandemic is very, very critical, because things turn around. Who knew that by March the world will shut down? Who knew? So if you're not flexible around your career, around what you have to do, around your plan, then you might stay back. And the reason I talk about the attitude is perhaps you join as a graduate management trainee, and you're told to go across 3 departments for learning purposes. And or slotted with a manager or an employee, remember that there are assessing you. They are watching you. What is the attitude that you bring to them? What is the little value that you bring to them? Again, taking into consideration that the people that you have found in the company, even if you have been hired, whether you're experienced or not, they have some knowledge that you don't have. They know their way around that you don't have. So with the right attitude, I think for me, the sky is the limit for people. And also being really passionate about what you're doing. I think this is one thing that sometimes people fail to know. We want to change so fast. We want to, within 1 year, I want to move into another area, But you cannot, going back to the management of human capital is someone's solid after 3 years or within the second to third year. That is when someone is really solid with what they're doing. But within the first year, you have just barely managed to get your way around. So I think that's the most critical thing, that people have to be passionate and also able to have the attitude of flexibility so that they can integrate.
Yes, thank you. There's a saying that says the soft skills have become the hardest skills to find.
Yeah.
So a right attitude that also brings hard work, flexibility, and so on that you continue to mention, making sure that you stay in the job for at least 3 years to get to know the job, and passion, really, because that's what keeps you going for more years. One last question, and then I will open it up to the rest of the audience. So tell us, this is my closing question, then I'll let the rest ask you a little bit about BPR. What's the culture there of the environment for someone who would want to work there? What is some of the tips you'd like to share with them for BPR? Are there any opportunities for them to apply as well?
All right, that's a catch-20 question. Are there any opportunities to apply? Thanks, Happiness. Our culture in BPR, I don't know if any of the people online know the background of BPR. BPR started as a cooperative. It's going to make actually 45 years this year. So it's really a historic bank. It wasn't the first, but the way it started by just common people like me and you get together, and they realize that in their village they need a microfinance or something that can help, actually a channel that can help them to advance in terms of financial advancement and in terms of supporting each other. So it started way back in the, I think it's the eastern side of Rwanda, in Nkamba. So having evolved from a cooperative to a commercial bank, really BPR has a rich history. And what does that mean? The rich history of a mixed culture of generations, shall I call it, actually. The baby boomers, the Y generation, X generation, now we are getting the techie youngsters that are coming in. So our culture really right now, and what we're trying to build as a strong culture, is a professionalism, a culture of professionalism. Of course, because we have evolved from a cooperative to a commercial bank, because then that means we have to compete like everybody else. About that, we cannot just stay. Yes, we cannot stay. We cannot just remain behind. We have to evolve with what is happening in the country, in the market, in the sector itself. So a professional culture, and what does that mean? That cuts across our service requirements, that cuts across our values, where we manage ourselves abiding by our values of the company, in terms of the values that guide us, and also our service pillars that guide us. So that's the culture we're trying to to create a culture of professionalism, a culture of being knowledgeable, and of course, because when we're knowledgeable of what we do, we're able to support our clientele, we're able to support each other, we're able to be ethical in what we're doing. So
okay, just give us a few minutes. There is a
sorry, yeah, the network is a bit
yes, you're back now.
up and down.
Yes.
Well, sorry, the network is a bit up and down, but we're trying to integrate everyone, the new, shall I say, the old, the middle generation, and the young generation. So I think what drives us and what has actually made us known now is the professionalism that each of our employees knows that they have to depict, they have to live by. It's the values that drive us, because before you know it, everybody is giving the same service, but what gives you a difference? It's that exceptional professionalism. It's that abiding by the values so that we meet what is required. And does BPR have any opportunities? I'll say that we have opportunities, again, linked to the graduate trainees, people that are interested to do graduate trainee programs. But of course, the way we wanted to run it might not be the same. But of course, because of the changes, because of the COVID effects, this has brought a constraint on, of course, our strategy, our financials. So we have to be very cautious in managing our costs. So, but we're definitely open to new talent. We're open to especially areas that are dealing with digital. People that are in the digital world. Those are we're open to integrate them as graduate trainees under our graduate trainee program, and people that maybe have other specialties. But I think what matters is how flexible are you in terms of being able to integrate, because you might be a techie person, but you have no clue about the business environment, and gone are the days when technical people are just technical people. They have to be business savvy. I think that is very, very critical.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. We will definitely follow up with some resumes of a few graduates that are in the tech world.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would like to open the floor to the audience that are following us right now. Please type your questions in the comment section, and we'll be able to read your questions to Judith. Do we have people with questions? Not yet.
Okay.
Anybody with a question yet? I can see Pasi online. I'll probably try calling out a few people that I know. Do you want to ask us any question, Pasi in Canada? Do you want to ask us any question regarding opportunities in Rwanda?
Okay, I can see a few questions. Yeah.
Have you? I am having troubles getting to read. Okay, I can see now questions coming in. From Quizeda, there is a question saying, what are some of the lessons that my phone is acting up? Just give me a second. It says, what are some of the lessons learned? What are some of the lessons that working through this pandemic has taught you? That's from Quizeda 27.
Okay. Thanks for that question, Quizera. Really, some of the lessons working through this pandemic is, I think, having the wit of quick decision making. That is very, very critical, because in one night we had to deal with maybe changes of the way we work, in terms of how people see it, in terms of how we manage the clientele. So that quick thinking, I think that is one of the key skill sets that actually the lesson learned, and also being able to take quick decisions, which is also very, very critical in leadership, or as you grow into your career, being able to have that quick mindset and quick wit of knowing what to do next, and not taking so long, because there's one to have a strategy, but then tomorrow if the strategy changes, how do you move about it? So that's one of the things, that quick thinking, quick judgment. And number two is, I think, also patience. Patience I think it's one of the lessons learned, because sometimes things are out of your hand. You're not able to deal with things the way you're supposed to deal with them. So what do? Are you going to crack your head? No. I think that's where the patience comes in, and being able to be a bit of empathetic in some of the areas, and also third is also knowing that, okay, right now maybe I'm supposed to support particular employees who cannot get to work. As a manager, as a leader, what do I do? How do I advise my CEO? How do I advise my management team? How do we deal with this particular matter? So I think those are some of the three critical things: quick thinking on decision making, patience sometimes when things can't go the way you want them to go, and thirdly is having that empathy, really.
Great. Thank you. There is another question on, I agree with thinking on your feet, empathy as well, and really providing solutions amid the uncertainty. And there's another question that says, what graduate trainee program do you offer as a company specifically? I think he would like to know, this is Samuel Ranjira, he would like to know a little bit more details about the graduate trainee program.
Okay, thanks, Samuel. When we talk about the graduate trainee program, what we normally do, we do hire across the career areas. We could hire technical people or IT people. We could hire some finance people. We could hire generalist people, or specifically maybe in HC, in a human capital or marketing. So when we talk about the GTDs, we just cut across depending on really where we need these individuals. And when we hire maybe like, shall I say 10 people, and specifically for the plan that we have, if we hire like 10 people, graduate trainee for the graduate trainee program, these individuals are expected to cut across and to move from one department to another department per month, so that the IT person should know how they work with the retail department, specifically. Why am I saying this? For example, if you're in the development arena of IT, you will not be able to be a developer for that particular program for this company if you do not know how it impacts the clients. So again, for that 1 month, don't be shocked if the person is moved into retail, yet they are a programmer, yet they are a developer. Because this again helps people to know the business environment, and specifically for the institution. So when we see our graduate trainee program, we might pick like two per section, two in HC, two in marketing, two in general business, and two in IT. So just a mixture. And then when they start, of course, the bigger chunk, you specialize within the area that you're a specialist. But if it's 6 months graduate trainee program, be sure that you'll be moved at least twice, like 2 times within the other sectors. I hope that helps. I hope that answers Samuel's question.
Yes, thank you. So every graduate trainee gets a rotation around the bank to have a full understanding of how the bank operates. We have a question for Praise KA Pretty. Says, what advice can you give to a graduate who wants to pursue careers different from what they are studying?
Sorry, what was the name of the
Praise
person?
Praise. Her name is Praise, yeah.
Okay, Praise. Thanks. And if I got you right, Happiness is what advice would I give to an individual who wants to change careers?
No, to pursue a career. To pursue a career that is different from what they're studying.
Okay, that's quite a good one. It's not new. It's not new at all. I think what matters is how passionate are you into that particular area that you want to pursue your career into. For example, if I had done law and then I really want to pursue a career in HR, then I accept an internship in HR. I don't have to have done HR maybe to join HR. And then when I join the HR department, why exactly do I want to go into the HR and not do law that I did? I think that is very critical. Passionate about what you want now to pursue. It's just like if I'm working now and tomorrow I leave the bank and want to pursue a business. One of my traits, I'm a serial entrepreneur, by the way. On the other side, I change businesses all the time. So, so that is one thing, that you have to be passionate about whichever area you want to pursue. I think for me, passion will drive you. You could have studied something else, but now you really want to pursue this. It's the passion. Then you will have to work 3 times more than you could have done for something that you studied. So what does that mean? Research about that. Research about maybe the area that you're pursuing. Any improvements into that area. Any new developments into that area. Then how do you link whatever? Anything that we study, trust me, links into what we do in one way or another. So you have not wasted your time studying something else and then you're pursuing something else. You haven't wasted your time. What matters really is how do you link, how do you sync what you have studied into what you're pursuing. I hope that helps, Praise.
Yes, thank you, Judith. I think I'm going to read a few questions because of time. So we have a few minutes left. There is one question from Roxanne, I think that's her name. It says, what do you think BPR is going to change in terms of the service that it provides post-COVID? And the other question that it says, maybe you can combine the two. It says, you have been at BPR for some time now. What keeps you motivated to do what you do?
Okay, thanks for the people that have asked those 2 questions. What is BPR going to do maybe differently in terms of service post-COVID? I think what we have already started doing is is offering that service and being available for the clients. Being available for clients, that is very, very critical, because with so many banks in the market that are offering the same services, but how different are you? Is being available, okay? Being available.
Hello.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm back.
Now we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, so one of the critical areas that we're really embarking on and working on, one is to enhance our service offerings, and also two is taking to consideration what the changes of COVID. We have enhanced our digital services so that our clients are really are supported through our digital channels. That's one thing that really we have enhanced, and we're going to continue enhancing. Of course, abiding by our service pillars, like I said before. I think that is very, very critical. And one other thing that actually internally for our internal clients, because those are my internal clients as well, to really enhance their knowledge in terms of their knowledge and capacity awareness in terms of the digital offerings that are happening, and how best we can serve our clients. I think that is what we're really enhancing more at BPR. The second question of, I've been in BPR for quite some time. I think I'm making my fifth year now in BPR. What keeps me motivated? I love what I do. And the fact that every day when I come to work, what I did yesterday might not happen today. Two is for the fact that I see a lot of changes in my employees, that keeps me motivated. When I see that previously we used to hire a lot, now we are doing a lot of internal promotions. For me, that shows that there's a lot of changes internally. People's culture is changing, the way they perceive things, the way they have learned, the way they have developed. For me, that keeps me going. And taking a good example within my own department, when I know that I've hired a junior person or an intern, and 2-3 times he sits with me in the meeting, and the third time I tell them, deal with that email, come to me when you're stuck. And the next time when they write an email, it is super. That keeps me going.
Oh, great. So I'm going to read the last 2 questions. I'm so sorry, everyone who's attending. I can see so many questions, but we can only use Instagram Live for an hour. So we have one question saying, would a student who is studying veterinary, I think, would they be a veterinarian? Would they be eligible for the graduate program? And the other one is asking, what impact has COVID-19 had on the bank, and what is the bank's strategy to bounce back from it? We can use maybe 2 minutes. Yes.
Okay. Quick one. The first question of the colleague that is doing veterinary, I think, professional or courses. Can they qualify for the graduate training? Now, it depends on what specific, how they have specialized in the veterinary courses. Because, for example, in the bank, we've got the agriculture relationship managers. Maybe this employee, if they're good in sales, in business, perhaps they would be our go-to person to work in the area that deals with the agriculture relationship management. Just to be precise, that is, I think, that is how we can advise. They could meet the criteria, but depends on other skill set, how strong they are in terms of rapport building, in terms of sales, in terms of relationship management. The second question, just to be quick, the impact that COVID has had on the bank. Just like any institution, of course, we have had slow turns of business. Of course, it's not upbeat like it was before, and of course, in partnership with the government to support our clientele, because we are here because of our clients who have loans, so we have had to restructure some loans. So that means some of the revenues we've been getting might be low, but how are we working to bounce back is to, again, offer services that are reachable by our clients, and also some services that these clients are able to tap into and be available for these clients, so that at least they know that we're still there for them. We're still a bank. We're still a bank for them. We're still the go-to bank and the employer, the best employer in the market.
All right. Thank you so much, Judith. It has been great to interview you, and thank you for jumping on this opportunity. At the time we asked, you did not hesitate, so we really appreciate your time. Everyone who's asked the question that we did not answer, some of them we had answered them earlier on in the interview, so we will record this and send it to you. Please message us on our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. We'll get back to you. And thank you so much, Judith. I will let you go for now. And if anybody is interested in BPR graduate program, or they're interested in learning more, we can connect you here at the Bridge Career Services. So have a great evening.
Super.
And I have a great day
Super.
to the rest of the participants that have attended, if they're not in the region that it's already night. Thank you so much. All right.
Happiness. Thank you so much as well. Thanks to everyone that has managed to call in, to log in. Thank you so much, and thanks for giving me this opportunity to share my experience. I think maybe with through Bridge Career Services, we might be able to answer some of these questions that are pending on your website. I'm happy to do that as well.
Yes.
Thank
you for offering more time. Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right. You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure hosting you on our Instagram Live today. Continue to stay tuned. Every week we'll be releasing this series. As Judith mentioned, we will send her some of the questions that were unanswered, and be able to send you answers to your questions. Thank you so much, and have a good day to those in the West, and have a good evening to those in the region here. Thank you.